is reporting that 62 people have been confirmed. A full start, but we do thank you very much for joining us tonight. Over the last 24 hours, the government has reported 62 cases of coronavirus in the country. This is out of 2,293 people tested. Of course, the government has rolled out mass testing. Kenyans being urged to turn up for this exercise to ascertain how many people are free of this pandemic. And the government reporting that 3 out of those who have been suffering from COVID-19 have recovered. Good news, though, no person has been reported dead over the last 24 hours. If we can take a look at the total now, 64,264 people have been tested for coronavirus in the country. Out of that number, there are 1,348 confirmed cases, out of which 405 have recovered. But sadly, 52 people have lost their lives to the coronavirus or COVID-19. The government is insisting on social distancing as well as the maintenance of personal hygiene. The government coming out strongly to caution Kenyans against doing acts that may jeopardize attempts or efforts to curb the spread of the coronavirus. We do thank you very much for joining us tonight. Of course, we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up for you. This live broadcast is also streaming on Twitter as well as YouTube and Facebook. But first, let's take a look at the highlights. A trail of destruction as 6 people are killed and dozens of houses torched in NAROK renewed clashes.
Wale ambao tumeweza kuleta mabadiliko hivi sasa yanatokana na mambo ambayo yanahusu chama. Chama kina haki ya kufanya mageuzi yoyote, na hiyo ni haki ya chama ambayo kwa hivi sasa lazima iweze kuheshimiwa.
The purge continues. Senators allied to Deputy President William Ruto dropped as chairs of various committees. And reprieve at last. Traffic flow resumes at the Malaba border after days of protest by truck drivers. Thank you very much for joining us for this Channel 1 News Hour. Byron Abuli is our sign language interpreter tonight. You can interact with us throughout this live broadcast on Facebook, KBC Channel 1, on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at Ed Kabasa. Let us begin in NAROK, where 6 people have been killed and 13 others are nursing serious injuries following renewed clashes in NAROK County. Area County Commissioner Samuel Kimiti said 50 houses have been torched since the clashes erupted on Saturday. Kimiti said preliminary investigations pointed to incitement and has henceforth banned all political leaders from touring the affected area.
The NAROK clashes, which were first reported on Saturday night, said to have been ignited by livestock theft, has left a trail of destruction. 6 people have been reported dead, 13 injured, and more than 50 houses torched as 2 communities living in the area face off in what local administration believe is an act of politics. Residents of Ololoipangi and Oloruasi villages are now living in fear of revenge attacks. NAROK County Commissioner Samuel Kimiti said 2 people have been arrested and are assisting police with investigation.
Kuna sababu mingi ambazo watu hawajatoa. Na ndio sababu tumeita hawa viongozi wale wametoka sehemu hiyo, ili tuchambue, tujue shida ni nini, kwa sababu serikali peke yake haiwezi kuweka amani. Kuna area zile ambao wanasema administrative unit zinatakiwa ziangaliwe, hiyo tumeshika na tutasukuma. Wameomba kuwe na kituo cha polisi huko, hiyo pia tumepata na tutaiangalia. Hatutakubali uchochezi wa kisiasa.
Area Governor Samuel Tunai, who accompanied the county commissioner, said it was unfortunate that people who had been living together for decades have turned against each other, something which he said will not be condoned.
The two communities have been coexisting all this time. Nataka tu kuwauliza wenyeji wote ya kwamba tusiwahi tena kwenda kupoteza maisha yote. Na hiyo ndio sababu wakati hiyo mzozano ilitokea, tuliweza kuwasiliana na ofisi ya county commissioner na security committee na viongozi, na sasa hivi kikosi ya GSU na agencies zingine za security siko katika sehemu hiyo.
NAROK South MP Korei Oleleimen and MCA Sogo Lemiso called for peace in the area, saying hatred between the two communities is detrimental to the area development.
Na kwa hivyo tunataka kuwaomba wakaaji wa Narok Kusini, jamii zote wale ambao wako kule, tunataka kuwaomba ya kwamba wawache mambo mingi, waishi kama mandugu na madada, waendelee kufanya kazi kama hapo zamani.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troenjue.
Thank you, Ben Troenjue, for that report. Let us now shift gears to politics, where the Jubilee Party's purge on members deemed rebellious to the leadership has seen 4 more senators lose their chair and membership positions in various committees of the Senate. Speaking after chairing the party's disciplinary committee meeting on Tuesday at the party's headquarters, the newly appointed Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kang'ata listed the 4 as Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, Bomet Christopher Langat, John Kinyua of Laikipia, and Mithika Linturi of Meru. The changes that have widened the crack in the ruling coalition are expected to feature top on the agenda of the party's National Executive Committee meeting that Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju said will be held soon.
There's a time, Mr. Speaker, I said on the floor of this House that Jubilee is dysfunctional.
The storm kicked by the failure by some Jubilee senators to attend a Senate parliamentary group meeting at State House has claimed more casualties at the Senate.
So the ayes have it.
After the ouster of Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen, Chief Whip Susan Kihika and Deputy Speaker Kithure Kindiki, 4 more senators on Tuesday fell under the axe of the disciplinary committee.
Devolution Committee, we shall replace Senator Kinyua with Senator Murkomen. Education Committee, Senator Langat will be replaced by Senator Milgo. ICT Committee, we shall replace Senator Pogisio with Senator Kinyua. SBC, we are going to replace Senator Langat with Senator Sakaja.
The newly appointed Chief Whip maintained that party loyalty must be observed.
Wale ambao tumeweza kuleta mabadiliko hivi sasa yanatokana na mambo ambayo yanahusu chama. Chama kina haki ya kufanya mageuzi yoyote, na hiyo ni haki ya chama ambayo kwa hivi sasa lazima iweze kuheshimiwa.
Kindiki was however appointed a member of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Kang'ata was speaking after Senators Mary Senator Falhada Iman and Naomi Wako appeared before the disciplinary committee and pleaded not guilty for skipping the PG meeting chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House.
I've received the message on Sunday, 10th of May, 1:07.
Senators Millicent Omanga and Victor Pringay are scheduled to appear before the committee. The changes have caused a major row in Jubilee.
They hanged on the goodwill of the party to get their positions. For them to now change tact midstream is nothing but betrayal of the party.
As allies or friends of William Ruto, as you guys would call it, it is a luta continua. It's not over until over.
We will not agree and we will not rest. This fight is going to be long and murky.
Differences that are expected to be ironed out when the president chairs the party's National Executive Committee meeting soon.
For the party leader to give us a time when he's available to be able to meet the NEC. So the NEC meeting can be any time from Thursday onwards.
Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
The Ministry of Health has announced 62 new coronavirus cases, raising the country's coronavirus tally to 1,348 after testing 2,293 samples within a period of 24 hours. Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Rashid Aman at the same time expressed concern at a growing number of COVID-19 patients giving false information, subsequently making the process of contact tracing difficult and in turn contributing to the spread of the disease. So far, 29 counties have reported cases. Purity Musel has that report.
The number of COVID-19 infections in the country continues to increase. In the last 24 hours, 62 more people have tested positive, with 59 being Kenyans and only 3 foreigners.
We have tested 2,293 samples, out of which 62 people have tested positive for COVID-19. This now brings to 1,348 the number of those who have so far tested positive, and the total number tested so far stands at 64,264.
Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Rashid Aman said the infections were distributed in various counties across the country, including Nairobi with 23 cases, Mombasa 16, Kwale 8, Kiambu 6, Kajiado 6, and Kitui 6 cases. In Nairobi, the cases were recorded in Umoja, Kibra, Eastleigh, Dagoretti North, Lang'ata, Westlands, Starehe, and Embakasi East. Mombasa's coronavirus cases were confirmed in Changamwe, Jomvu, Nyali, and Mvita, while in Kwale areas affected are Msambweni and Lungalunga. Kiambu, Lari, and Ruiru have reported cases. Kitui's cases were all from Miambani, and Kajiado's infections recorded in Kajiado Central and Kajiado East.
The true picture of this disease in our country will only be known through the tests we are currently conducting.
Testing is voluntary. We cannot put a gun to your head and tell you that you must be tested for COVID. Then testing is happening all over the country. So it will be very difficult to be able to say County X give us this number, County X, Y give us this number. This will just lead to falsification of the numbers, and it will not be informative.
The Minister of Health appealed to members of the public to present themselves for COVID-19 screening.
We have also noted that some of our people have been shy to present themselves for testing for fear of the treatment cost. The position of government on this matter is clear. For avoidance of doubt, let me restate once more. The cost of testing, quarantine, and treatment in a government facility will be fully met by government.
Meanwhile, 3 more patients were discharged after recovering from COVID-19, raising the total recoveries to 405. This brings to 891 the number of active cases being monitored in COVID-19 isolation and treatment centers. As the number of COVID-19 cases in the country continue to increase with increased sample testing for the virus in the country, the Minister of Health insists it's still being frustrated by those providing inaccurate information during testing for the virus, saying the move is frustrating contact tracing of those who might have been exposed to the virus. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News, Nairobi. Take 2, please, if you don't mind.
All right. The government has moved to engage with the clergy on modalities of having the church resume operations after services were suspended following the coronavirus pandemic. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i held a meeting on Tuesday with Catholic bishops to have their views on how best to adapt to a new normal in the post-corona lockdown.
The government on Tuesday was in talks with the Catholic Church bishops to deliberate on combined efforts to find common ground on how the country should move forward after the post-coronavirus lockdown.
We have agreed on some ways forward that we shall go sit down and focus on, through which we shall all put efforts to combine these efforts to fight the COVID-19 in our society.
A consultative meeting that the government says was critical as the state is moving to adopt difficult decisions in taming the spread of COVID-19.
We were sent here, like last week, by His Excellency the President to engage with these leaders and listen to them, take their advice on the number of decisions we have to make. As you know, in this war against COVID, we are moving towards a time when we have to make several decisions, and His Excellency the President wants to be sure that we are all moving together and that we take into account the advice we get from our church leaders particularly.
Led by KCCB Chair Bishop Philip Anyolo and His Eminence Cardinal Njue, the church leaders called for inclusivity and improved communication in disseminating messages about the contagious disease.
We know the situation in which it is, the graph is going higher and higher. And therefore, it helps us if we took things prudently and understandingly so as not to fall into the pit again of going back to start to square zero.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i noted that the church's advice is vital in the government's decisions, and it will be fully incorporated in the resources set aside in the COVID-19 response team.
We pledge that we will continue to work together even as we approach the difficult decisions we have to make. We will do as we have been advised, enhance and improve our communication, be more inclusive in the manner in which we move forward on this, and we are going to see even much closer partnership with the church in training, capacity building, and in sharing the resources that have come our way in the war against COVID-19.
Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Thank you very much, Kamche Menza, for that report. We are taking a short break, but those who are able to tune into this live broadcast on Facebook, we do thank you very much. I see Haitam Hussein Sumar, Mansour Ali Mansour from Mohola, Tana River County. Another one is Alan Lagat from Kericho County, saying that you're watching live. There is Musili watching from Mukuru Koruben, and Alex Ndunda Bahati Nakuru. Thank you very much. And one news hour takes a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have plenty more lined up for you, so keep it here.
Unanipigia na reverse goal. Unajua ile kitu naweza reverse peke yake ni Land Rover, nikiendea wahalifu mahali wako ndio wakuchwa minja kwa Land Rover chup chup, lakini wewe unanipigia na reverse goal. Unajua ile kitu naweza reverse peke yake ni Land Rover, nikiendea wahalifu mahali wako ndio wakuchwa minja kwa Land Rover chup chup, lakini wewe kunipigia reverse goal. Why are you defrauding the government? No. Look for the airtime and call me. Okay?
Kupata police reverse, bonyeza *811 *960 #. Bonyeza *811 *960 #.
Unasikia?
Top on Channel 1. Yeyote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19.
Sio live smart. Nasi ya kutapika jo. Mkono wangu hazisongi bwana.
Look at me, Wanjala. I said look at me. Focus on me. Look at me. You're right. Something is wrong. This is what happened to you the night you lost.
Pata habari kuhusu COVID-19 kupitia vyanzo vinavyoaminika. Piga 719 au bonyeza *719#. COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii.
Oh, by the way, mdesa kama bado yuko, but naona ni kama mmepitana naye hapa hivi ukikuta. Safi safi. Alafu sasa unaniachaje? Hivyo tu umesimama.
Job mimi nakuka hypertonic, unasikia eh? Sitakaliagwa na bibi na ukuja unikaliage.
Dad.
Wewe na Wafaulu, mimi siwaonagi pamoja. Hata juzi walikuwa wamekujaga hapa na Chris nikaulizaga kwani ile Wafaulu wako wapi?
Mkosti mwenyewe? Kijana wangu. Namna gani? Poa sana. Umemwelewa mtutembelee.
Unajua ni kwa nini Kisaka tuko naye hapa miaka hiyo yote? Loyalty.
It's 20 minutes past the hour. Thank you very much for keeping us company. This is Channel 1 News Hour. Transport has resumed across the Kenya-Uganda border following the deployment of security personnel to clear a blockade by truck drivers. Truck drivers had staged a protest at the border point for almost 5 days now, following a dispute over the testing for COVID-19 in Uganda. The government is accusing some players within the transport industry of inciting truck drivers to paralyze operations at the border. For days, transport across the Kenya-Uganda border has been at a standstill. Truck drivers creating a blockade to protest what they termed as unbearable testing regime by the Ugandan authorities as the country tightens the noose on COVID-19.
Hatutaki fujo, tunataka amani, ila amani yetu sisi ni kuheshimika. Madereva tunadharauliwa. Tunadharauliwa kila mahali. Tunadharauliwa.
The protest resulted in a 50-kilometer-long traffic stretching all the way to Bungoma town. A security meeting held Tuesday saw the removal of the blockade, with the Kenyan government accusing some players within the transport industry of undermining steps taken to curb the spread of the coronavirus.
This is an unusual time. People's emotions can run high. But what I think is not acceptable is to block the entry point of Uganda through the vehicles that we get from Mombasa entering into Uganda through the port of Malaba. That is something that will not be accepted.
And we have told those people who are causing problems that you do not have to drive towards the border. If you feel you have grievances in terms of you entering Uganda, then don't leave your point of departure.
To mitigate on the challenges at the borders, the government on Tuesday called on logistics companies to ensure their drivers get tested for COVID-19 at least 48 hours before travel. Senators have in the meantime called on both the Kenyan and Ugandan governments to find long-lasting solutions to the impasse.
It is an ugly sin, it's regrettable, and it's unacceptable. Madam Speaker, can the chairman of this committee, who has done a wonderful job on the same issue before, move expeditiously to unlock this gridlock that is causing so much pain and stress to the people of Busia and Bungoma and the whole country at large.
Kwa sababu kwa muda wa wiki mbili magari yamekuwa yakizuiliwa na madereva wengi ambao ni wa Kenya wanapata shida kwa sababu hawezi kuingia Uganda bila ya kuwa na kibali kwamba wameweza kufanyiwa uchunguzi wa corona na wakapatikana kwamba hawajaambukizwa maambukizi hayo.
And in other matters, a section of the clergy in Kikuyu, Kiambu County is faulting blanket condemnation of well-wishers donating relief aid to residents in the area, saying the recently reported case of people who fell ill after consuming contaminated food should be treated as an isolated incident. They further called on investigation agencies to urgently probe the matter, which has left vulnerable communities anxious.
Just a day after 12 people in Gikambura village in Kiambu County were treated in hospital after allegedly consuming contaminated food, a section of religious leaders in the area have come forward to condemn those behind the heinous donation.
Tujue ya kwamba ni sumu gani iliyokuwa imewekwa kwa ile chakula, diposa
hata sisi wananchi tujue haswa ni nini. Nambari ya pili, tungependa serikali ichukulie hatua mwenye alifanya hivyo. Sisi kama kiongozi wa kanisa tungependa hatua ichukuliwe ndiposa kesho mwingine asifanye vile.
The clergy warned residents against receiving donations from unknown people and instead depend on reliable individuals and organizations mandated to oversee the process. The development coming as Central Region Commissioner Wilfred Nyangwanga directed all food donations to vulnerable groups to be approved by respective county COVID-19 emergency response committees before distribution to the beneficiaries.
We have already seized the food that was claimed to be in bad. So the public health people, they are analyzing it. Once analyzing, which the government must will investigate. If we get those who are concerned, the law will take its own hand.
Watu wanapeana chakula bila kupitia hiyo mpangilio, na hiyo wizara ya afya imetangaza kama mtu wako na donation ipitie kwa hiyo fund, hiyo chakula itakaguliwa, alafu itapeanwa na sisi tukiwa national administration.
Ben Chumba reporting for Channel 1 News.
Despite being a population that is particularly at risk to COVID-19, persons living with disabilities face even greater inequalities in accessing healthcare services. This is due to inaccessible health information and environments, as well as selective medical guidelines and protocols that may magnify the discrimination in healthcare provision. So how do we protect people living with disabilities from getting the virus?
The call for support to people with disabilities is towards social protection, so that they are given basics of their livelihood. Then that way, then they can be able to heed to the calls to stay home and ensure hygiene and use face masks. So that's the call and the advice. So our advice to people living with disability is that they also need to exercise precaution like any other Kenyans, and that we are doing everything possible to ensure social protection to those who are most in need amongst people living with disabilities countrywide.
Police in Kakamega County are holding a middle-aged man suspected to have defiled a 7-year-old girl. The man is said to have used food as bait to lure the young girl into his house before engaging in the despicable act. Meanwhile, a family in the same county is calling on the government to arrest a middle-aged man said to have lured and abducted a standard 7 pupil. Timothy Kipunusu reports.
Police officers in Navaholo constituency, Kakamega County, have arrested one person suspected to have defiled a 7-year-old girl who is the daughter of a neighbor. Anthony Marani, a 35-year-old, is believed to have committed the heinous act after luring the minor with food. Relatives of the defiled minor now want stern action taken against the culprit.
Mtoto akasema nitoa nguo. Pata anasema ni mwenye akamtoa nguo akamweka kwa kitanda. Na akamwambia waangalie upande, usiniangalie mimi. Kashika mtoto shingo huku na akamwambia angalia upande. Sasa mtoto kutokujua nini inaendelea, akaanza kusikia sasa uchungu, akasikia akapika nduru akamshika mtomo. Mara 3 4 na akamwachilia akasema ende nyumbani usivae suruali, shika tu kwa mkono alafu uende uweke.
Alinidunga akaniweka kitu chake, alafu akanikanyagia.
Sasa nataka serikali nataka ani afungwe. Sisi anaharibu mtoto na mwenyewe iko na ugonjwa.
In the same county, a family in Elukaka village is calling on the government to arrest a middle-aged man who is believed to have eloped with a standard 7 pupil. According to the residents, the suspect has been marrying, taking advantage of young girls in the area and kicks them out when they get pregnant. They say the suspect was once arrested on matters connected to defilement, but was later released. They now want him behind bars.
Amezaa naye watoto 3, amemwacha. Bibi wa pili ni Maragoli. Huyo bibi wa Maragoli huyo amezaa naye watoto 2. Tena amemtupa huko. Vile vile amemtoa tu kwa shule. Alimtoa tu kwa shule.
Maana wakale walikuwa wauzi. Ningesema mtoto namna hii atakani auzu, atakani alishwe katika ukoo ule amezaliwa, na watafute njia namna watamtenga kulingana kutoka kwa.
Elsewhere, a 17-year-old girl and 2 women are being detained at Butere police station for child trafficking. The 3 are said to have assisted the 17-year-old girl offer the child in exchange of 3,000 shillings.
Nashtumu kitendo hiki kama naibu wa chief eneo hili ya kwamba ni hatia kubwa tena sana mtoto kuzaliwa na kuwekwa sokoni kama kuku.
They cited economic hardship having motivated their inhumane action. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Timothy Kipnoso.
Nairobi Regional Commissioner Wilson Njaga has assured vulnerable families enlisted to receive funding from the government that they will not be swindled by cartels. This as Principal Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Kang'ethe Thuku, affirmed that the National Hygiene Program, popularly known as Kazi Mtaani, was on the right track in Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi counties.
Speaking at his office, Nairobi Regional Commissioner Wilson Njaga said the money meant to cushion vulnerable families from the effects of COVID-19 will directly be channeled to beneficiaries through mobile phones as a way of cutting out on brokers and swindlers.
Hii hakuna middleman, watu cartels na watu katikati. Inaenda directly kwa yule mtu anahusika, the household head. Lakini kwa wale ambao ni mayatima, tunapatia caregiver ambao amekuwa identified ndio yako na hawa watoto. So hakuna mtu katikati. Na tunauliza wale watu beneficiary wakipata mtu anasema amewasaidia ama iko kitu inalipwa, alipoti kwetu.
Meanwhile, the Kazi Mtaani program meant to employ youth from vulnerable families and informal settlements has picked up well in the coastal region. According to Principal Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Kang'ethe Thuku, Mombasa County has enlisted 7,500 jobless youth, while Kilifi and Kwale counties have each recruited 1,000. An estimated 90,000 people in Korogocho, Kawangware, Kibra and Mathare are said to benefit from a local telecommunication company water projects geared towards the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. The water projects will cost over 5.7 million shillings.
They given us free water in Kibera, in Mathare and in Korogocho for the next 45 days. So we'll have 3 trucks coming into Kibera.
In Kisii County, a youth group from the region has embarked on an initiative to provide the urchins with paper bags to sell to earn income for self-sustenance. Distributing foodstuffs and masks to the street children in Kisii town, the youth group described the paper bags as a form of economic empowerment. Elsewhere, Baringo Central Member of Parliament Joshua Kandie has urged the government to expedite the loans as passed by Parliament to cushion small and medium enterprise from the brunt of the coronavirus pandemic.
Kitu tu ningeomba national government na county government wajaribu kama kuna chakula yoyote ile wako naye waletee wananchi hapa Baringo Central, tukianzia wakina mama hapa market tuongezee chakula ili wasipo na shida ya chakula.
Finally, victims of the recent floods in Budalangi constituency, Busia County, are slowly returning to their homes amid concerns they may not be capable of constructing new houses. The victims are now appealing for support from the county and national government to help them rebuild their homes.
Tumerundikana, hakuna mali, hakuna watoto anaweza, sasa ugonjwa anaweza hata pata huko watoto. Ndio sababu tumejiandaa ili tuweze kutengeneza hizi manyumba kidogo ili tuweze kama vile tunaweza rudi.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
That story by Suleiman Yeri takes us to our second break. Business news is coming up next.
Coronavirus COVID-19 is a respiratory virus spreading across the world. The infection is spread from droplets of coughing and sneezing of an infected person, touching or shaking hands or being in contact with contaminated surfaces or objects with the virus. The signs and symptoms are fever, coughing, headache, body ache, difficulty in breathing. The disease can be prevented by regularly washing hands with soap and running water. Avoid close contact with people who have flu-like symptoms. Avoid handshake, hugs, and kissing. Also, protect yourself by covering your mouth or nose using a disposable tissue while coughing or sneezing. If you experience these symptoms and you had traveled or been in contact with a person from a country reporting COVID-19, you should isolate yourself for 14 days. Dial *719# or call 719. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
On the next episode of Corner.
Have you resolved your thing with Wanjala? The two of you must sort this out.
You know Wanjala.
I'm talking to you right now.
Today's the day. Unajisikiaje?
I don't know. Nervous?
But wewe usema unapenda ukiwa nervous.
Welcome back. Time for business. The government will offer low-cost loans to encourage investors to purchase deep-sea fishing vessels in efforts aimed at boosting fish production. Fisheries Principal Secretary Professor Mbesheni Ntiba says Kenyans own 17 of the 72 deep-sea fishing vessels operating in Kenyan waters, hence the latest financing efforts.
The government has further increased investment in the aquaculture by 10 billion shillings, a fortnight after, in partnership with the International Fund for Agriculture Development, raised 14 billion shillings in a bid to increase fish production in the country. Out of the latest 10 billion shillings, a loan from the World Bank will, among others, finance conservation measures in 5 coastal counties. To this end, the government has secured a 10 billion shillings loan from the World Bank, part of which would be for onward lending at low rates to fishermen in 5 coastal counties for procurement of deep-sea fishing gear.
We're going to see marine fisheries becoming a major contributor to not only the growth of Kenya's economy, but also the economy of the local people.
As a ministry, we target to move the fishers in the deeper waters by building their capacity to venture into the territorial sea and the exclusive economic zone.
Additionally, the cash will finance training of 500 youth across the coastal region on deep-sea fishing.
This is part of it. Skills training. Getting the young people to get the right skills so that they can be able to venture into there and get the right equipment, technology, use it, and therefore be able to do that work.
In the future, I expect to see the youth participating in the development of our deep-sea fisheries.
Part of the loan will be channeled through coastal counties to finance ocean conservation activities.
We can leave 30% of our blue space to form the protected area for the benefit of living resources and everybody else moving forward and sustainable things.
County governments in the 15 selected high fish potential areas are being encouraged to allocate at least 14 million shillings of their budget for increasing fish production in each sub-location. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Equity Group Holdings has withdrawn the proposed dividend payout of 2 shillings and 50 cents per share. In a decision, the lender says is informed by the need to preserve capital in the face of the prevailing uncertainty occasioned by COVID-19. The bank, which had planned to pay a total of 9.5 billion shillings in dividend payout to shareholders, says the latest decision will enable it support its customers during the unfolding crisis and also direct cash resources to potential opportunities that may arise during economic recovery.
Shareholders of Kenya's largest listed bank by market capitalization, Equity Group Holdings, will not be receiving a 9.5 billion shillings dividend payout after it was withdrawn by the board. In a statement, Equity Group said the withdrawal follows the board's assessment of the risk. Group CEO James Mwangi says that the conservative approach recognizes the emerging and quantified risk of the pandemic, hence the decision to preserve capital in the face of the prevailing uncertainty. He says a strong capital and liquidity position gives the institution the strength and capacity to cushion the business and accommodate and work with customers during these challenging times. If the economic crisis mutates into a financial crisis, Equity Group will be well placed to weather the challenge with a strong capital base, strong liquidity, and an agile balance sheet that improves its leverage and would allow the financial services group to shield and accommodate its customers throughout this period of uncertainty. He expressed optimism that should the crisis not play out as anticipated, the board will explore various options and make suitable recommendations that will enhance shareholder value. Mwangi says the group leadership and management will focus on strategically positioning the business in order to protect and preserve its customer base through loan accommodations and restructuring to enable them go through the prevailing turbulence, while at the same time preserving cash to shore up the financial revival and the growth of its customers' businesses post the COVID-19 crisis. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
The Cooperative Bank has renewed the special motor vehicle purchase schemes established with major motor vehicle dealers Isuzu East Africa and Simba Corporation Group to enable micro, small and medium enterprises acquire the vehicles they need at favorable terms. The special scheme is bundled with bank financing of up to 95% of the purchase price and a $500,000 shilling loan in working capital. Here are the details of this and other stories in our Business News Roundup.
Cooperative Bank has for the 5th year running renewed the special motor vehicle purchase schemes with Isuzu East Africa and Simba Corporation Group. Cooperative Bank Head Business Banking Moses Gitau says the decision follows popularity of the joint scheme among SMEs who have hailed it as the most affordable means of acquiring a wide selection of pickups, canters and trucks. Under the deal, Cooperative Bank offers financing of up to 95% of the purchase price, in addition to offering a working capital of $500,000 shillings to support the businesses. Gitau says the $500,000 working capital facility is aimed at supporting businesses, especially during the difficult COVID-19 season. Meanwhile, the price of houses continued to decline during the first 3 months of this year in a trend compounded by constrained ability of potential buyers to afford homes currently on offer in the market. This is according to the latest Kenya Bankers Association House Price Index that indicates that house prices decelerated by 0.54% in the reviewed period, reversing the 0.61% negative growth rate recorded in the previous quarter. This means that based on the KBA House Price Index, house prices have remained in the deceleration path for the 5th consecutive quarter. The trend, according to the index, reflects buyers' adjustments with affordability being a key concern in the housing market. During the period under review, demand for bungalows and maisonettes went down by 95.9% and 57.1% respectively. Unlike previous quarters, where apartments dominated house demand, townhouses were the most preferred by buyers during the first 3 months of this year, followed by apartments and maisonettes. Finally, KCB Bank has closed its Mvita branch in Mombasa County for 3 days after a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. The lender says the closure is to pave way for immediate disinfection of the premises. Other staff members who are working with the patient are undergoing counseling and screening to ensure their safety and well-being. This comes after Diamond Trust Bank temporarily halted operations at its Kilifi branch in March for disinfection of the premises after a staff member was exposed to a suspected COVID-19 case who later tested positive.
The government has secured a 10 billion shilling loan from the World Bank that will finance enhancement of deep-sea fishing at the Indian Ocean. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says the coastal counties will receive half of the funds to train and equip locals with deep-sea fishing skills and offer loans to fishermen and traders in the fishing value chain.
New York City has been hit hard by the outbreak with some 200,000 cases and more than 20,000 deaths as the New York Stock Exchange reopens its trading floor on Tuesday after a 2-month closure due to the coronavirus pandemic. Only a quarter of the normal number of traders will be allowed to return to work. Under the new measures, traders must also avoid public transport, wear masks and follow strict social distancing rules, with newly fitted transparent barriers to keep people apart. They will also be screened and have their temperatures taken as they enter the building. The New York Stock Exchange is one of the few bourses to still feature floor trade, as most have shifted to fully electronic trading. Meanwhile, Lufthansa has agreed to a rescue deal worth 9 billion euros with the German government that saves it from collapse. The German airline has been severely affected by a decline in travel due to the coronavirus and closed its budget airline Germanwings in April. The German government will take a 20% stake in the firm, which it intends to sell by the end of 2023. But the deal still has to be approved by the firm's shareholders and the European Commission. As part of the rescue package, the German government will also inject 5.7 billion euros in non-voting capital, which is known as a silent participation. Finally, senior U.S. economist Kevin Hassett says the unemployment rate in the United States may surpass 20% in May, and it will be even worse for the next month. The White House economic advisor pointed out that the unemployment rate is expected to drop after June as the pandemic situation eases. However, Hassett pointed out that the U.S. unemployment rate could remain at double-digit levels by at least November. It is highly unlikely that the country could return to full employment by fall. Data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics showed that the unemployment rate soared by 14.7% in April, the highest since the Great Depression in the 1930s.
On the next episode of Elena's Ghost.
You know what, Elena? Having you like this, so close to me, but still so far away from me, actually causes me a lot of pain.
And what do you know about pain? You don't even have any feelings.
That's what I thought.
Andrea, you were just like Michael. You were both suffering for an impossible love.
You just said it. It was an impossible love. I never had anything with him.
You're gonna pay for
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Osakaya, aren't you the one with the flowers? Let real men make money. You shall get your time. Madam Kamene, please keep your sweetheart company there.
So, you think putting a flower on top of his desk is going to sort your issues, eh?
Yes, of course, why not? I saw it in a movie that when you want to apologize to your loved one, you buy them a flower, and it is very cute and romantic.
Young man, confine your opinion and your comments to yourself.
I refuse to let myself accept that we will lose today.
Stop nagging me. But if you continue like this, I'm going to swap seats. Okay? I'll get somebody else to sit here. Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Let's take a look at sports news. In the absence of sporting activity in the country due to the coronavirus, sports enthusiasts will be treated to a virtual 2,000-meter race between Kenyan runners and 3 others from Norway. Elijah Manangoi, Timothy Cheruiyot and Edwin Meli, renowned for their exploits over the 1,500-meter race, will take on brothers Jacob, Philip and Henry Ingebrigtsen in a race dubbed Marie Memorial Impossible Games Race on June 11th, 2020.
On Thursday, June 11th, 2020, athletics fans and sports enthusiasts in general will be glued to their screens, be they handheld or mounted devices, to witness a virtual race between Kenya and Norway. Kenyan Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Mina Mohammed says the duel is a welcome boost to the local sports industry that's reeling from effects of the global health crisis.
They have started training and are really training hard for that event, and I just want to wish them all the best. Yeah, I wish you all the best. Timothy, you beat this team in Doha, so I'm hoping that this will be a repeat of what you did in Doha.
Commonwealth champion Elijah Manangoi, reigning 1,500 meters world champion Timothy Cheruiyot, and 800 meters runner Edwin Meli will race from the refurbished Nyayo National Stadium, while Norwegian brothers Jacob, Philip and Henry Ingebrigtsen, who are no strangers in track and field races, will compete from Oslo.
There is that we are just competing like the other races, so we are putting God first, and then going to
tunatayarisha mzuri na tunatarajia tuwini hiyo race tarehe 11.
Meanwhile, the government has announced a 20 million shilling stimulus package for Kenyan Football Premier League players. Each footballer will receive 10,000 shillings monthly for the next 3 months. The stipend for footballers is part of the 50 million shillings set aside by the government to cushion Kenyan sportsmen and women from the economic effects of the novel coronavirus pandemic.
I've agreed that we are starting with KPL. Because we know, after having done our verification, that those are the footballers that are suffering the most. And so we're beginning with them, and we will continue rolling it out for the next 15 days. And then we will take stock and see how many have been supported, how many are still out there and that need our support. So we're going to be paying the athletes directly and the sportsmen and women directly. So it's not, there's no, basket that will be going to, every athlete will get to begin with 10,000 Kenya shillings. And then we hope that we can do that again next month. Depending on how much money we have and how far we can stretch it, we will try and help as many sportsmen and women as we can.
The stipend for footballers is part of the 50 million shillings set aside by the government to cushion Kenyan sportsmen and women from the economic effects of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Bernard Okumu, the sports at 9.
Athletics Kenya has acknowledged that the COVID-19 pandemic could pose a challenge to attendance even as the country remains on course to stage the opening leg of the inaugural World Athletics Continental Tour set for 26 September 2020.
The Nairobi leg was initially set for May but was called off following the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. The meet, dubbed Kip Keino Classic in honor of middle distance legend Kipchoge Keino, will feature the 3,000 meters, 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters races for men and women respectively.
So want to organize to have an opportunity for our athletes here in Kenya, because so far, as the president has said, they have never had an opportunity to compete. Although they are training individually, as by the rules given by the Ministry of Health, they need to have an opportunity to race so that they can gauge their performances. And at least Kenya is working on that program, as you said, to ensure that maybe somewhere in August or early September, we have some events, maybe national championship, to ensure that we select the team that will be competing on the 26th.
The meet, which is expected to attract runners from Tanzania, Ethiopia, as well as Uganda, with the overall tour winners receiving wildcard entry to the World Athletics Championships in Oregon.
3 categories of events that will take place. We have the Go events. Those Go events, you remember very well, are the events that were removed from Golden League. And the World Athletics ensure that those events will be held during the competition with the Continental Tour. So those are the go events. We have also the discretionary events. The discretionary events are the events that will be chosen by the Federation.
One-day championships expected to be hosted at Nyayo National Stadium, which is near completion after years under renovation.
We are almost in some areas 99%. There are some portions that are remaining. We are at 90%, 95%. And we are looking forward to completing within the next 2 weeks. Actually, by end of this week, we'll only be having the main contractor putting the final touches within the main stadium. So that's where we are focusing on to ensure that we get this facility handed over within the next 2 weeks.
Bernard Okumu, the sport at 9.
But that does it for us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. My name is Edward Kabasa, but before I leave, or after I leave, Irene Mushuba Odem will be here with the weather. Of course, the weatherman reporting that different parts of the country will be receiving some varied weather patterns. Of course, we have seen floods wreaking havoc in different parts of Kenya. Kenyans being urged to stay alert and move to higher grounds if possible. That does it for us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. On behalf of the team here, including my sign language interpreter Byron Abuli, do stay up to date with breaking news on Twitter at KBC Channel 1.
Right, Kabasa, Channel 1 weather updates begins right now. A very warm welcome. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. In the next 24 hours, dry weather conditions will persist over most parts of the country. As for tonight, the whole country will experience partly cloudy conditions. Wednesday morning, the country will be characterized by sunny intervals, save for Lamu, where wet conditions will prevail. In the afternoon, similar weather conditions are expected to persist apart from Kericho, Mount Elgon and Kitale, where we're expecting showers. Nairobi will experience maximum of 25 degrees Celsius and lows of 16 degrees Celsius. And for you in Lamu and Mombasa, expect highs of 30 degrees Celsius. And on that note, I now leave you with the weather forecast for other parts of the world. Do have a good night and see you tomorrow, God willing.